This episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by Walton's, Aluma Trailers, North Dakota Tourism, Federal Ammunition, OnX Hunt, and by Nutrisource Pet Foods. Today, we're talking early season bird hunting tactics with Ben Brettingen from OnX Maps. We'll break down different habitats for different birds. Plus, I think we'll get into a controversial discussion about bird dogs. You'll want to stick around for this one. Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank. I'm your host, Brandon Morton, as always, as our producer. Today, I am sitting at the house of my bird hunting buddy, Ben Brettingen. We've both returned from some pretty epic adventures. We can get into that, and we likely will. We have a lot to talk about today. Hunting season has arrived. But before we get into all that, I want to remind you that if you didn't listen to last week's episode, we have a special show coming up next week, a live show, and this will be at the Bear Cave Brewing. Ben, keep me on track, buddy. Keep me on track.
I remember this was problematic last week, too.
I know. It's like I need to say bear, but I'm saying beer. Like Bear Cave Brewery. No, try again. Bear Cave Brewing. Located in Hopkins, Minnesota. Maybe you should say this. Bear Cave Brewing.
I'm afraid now.
Okay. Next Wednesday, September 21st at 7 p.m. Bear Cave Brewing. Ron Shera, Scott Franz, and Bill Shirk, and myself, we're all going to be there to kick off the start of hunting season with a live show. We hope you'll come out and join us. They've got a special space for us on top of their balcony. You can bring your dogs. And they've got more than 50 tap beers, hard seltzers, cocktails, wines, and Neapolitan-style pizzas. We haven't done a live show since Pheasant Fest, but it was awesome. It was so fun to hear your stories and to come up. You can be in the show. You can ask us questions. And, Ben, I think you mentioned that you might have a few items that we'll be able to give away, too.
Yeah, we'll have memberships. We've got a bunch of new hats in, so you'll be probably the first ones to see the new OnX hat.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'll be there. It should be a great time.
You're coming?
I'm coming. I
thought you'd be hunting.
I should be hunting.
Well, you're a new dad now, too, so congratulations on the new baby. How's everything going at home here?
It's the most difficult job I think I'll ever have.
Yeah.
But it's a complete mix of every emotion possible, from pure frustration to like the highest, most ridiculous level of love ever, and like do that within 30 seconds. So
welcome to fatherhood, my friend. It's an awesome journey, and pretty soon you'll be hunting with her. And if you have more, if God blesses you with more, it's just such a fun journey. I'm excited for you. And the fun or the challenges just make it all the sweeter, which I think probably gets us into today's discussion. Should we start with, how do we want to start? Whose journey do we want to go down first?
I don't know. We can start with the tough and then go down to the flat land and take it. We can ease on down into that.
Well, I think if you haven't listened to last week's Flush podcast, I hope you will, because Eric Locker and Evan Withrow, we kind of talked through what it takes to go on an extreme mountain bird hunt from their perspective. And those two are some of the craziest hunters that I have ever hunted with, because, we hunted through rain. We hunted up and down mountains. It snowed on us. The temperature swings were so drastic. I'm wearing a t-shirt 1 minute, 5 minutes later it's snowing, and I've got a stocking hat on and 3 jackets, and the wind is blowing. And just to get yourself in position to be there is half a day. Like you're committed to this unreal climb. The first day we hunted together was the way that I would recommend doing it. And that's have a Alaskan bush pilot fly you in somewhere to get to the elevation or the place that you want to start hunting. And hopefully that pilot can fly you back home at the end of the day. Because if you listen to our discussion, our first day in Alaska, it was not how we planned, but you have to have a lot of plans because the weather changes so fast. The night before we were planning to fly in, the pilot came over and he's like, we can't go tomorrow. And, or he told Eric that, can't go in. The ceiling is going to drop and then we're not going to be able to get out. And that's realistic for these guys. And they have to factor in, which I want them to because it's my life.
Yeah, right. Bird hunting or plane crash,
Yes, exactly. So Eric goes, well, what if you drop us off and we hike out? Which, that took out 7 miles of hiking up mountains roughly for that particular day. However, in Alaska, they blow up roads. I mentioned that. We got stuck because there's a one-way road that we didn't know about. And that road closed at 8 p.m. And we had no idea because we didn't drive there. We flew in. And so our ride came to pick us up. He's like, we got to go. So anyway, it extended our day by like 4 or 5 hours before we were finally able to get back to our cabin after the hunt. If we could have flown back out, that would have been the most magical day ever because the birds are there. They're spectacular. The landscape is stunning. And they're gentleman birds for pointers. They like to hold in these patches of willows or thicker pieces on the tundra. The tundra itself is just like, I have been constantly retelling the stories. Even if I would have had to climb the 7 miles that day, it would have been worth it just for that one day. The second day, we didn't hunt the second day because we got rained out. We couldn't get where we needed to go. The third day, we set a plan, and that was a full hike day all the way. It's just so important. I can't stress enough boots, good boots, and then just having these big packs that would allow us to carry all of our gear. I ended up transferring parts of my Chief Upland vest. They've got the MOLLE system. You can move your attachments, shell pouches, all that stuff. So I took those off and I put them on an Eberly stock. It's a carrying pack. So if you're like on a big game hunt, you basically have to prep like you're going on a big game hunt.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. It was just, this is not like, let's find the best upland boot. It's like, no, there's not an upland specific boot that is going to cover this. Like we're talking Kenetrex, heavy duty, crispy ankle supports, Loas, whatever. It's just, it's a completely different game.
I showed you a couple of videos and it's hard to do justice to what the terrain really is like unless you're there. There was times where we found birds, 700-800 feet on top of this cliff. And it's like, we got to go. And we knew that this, in particular, rock ptarmigan, which is, it wasn't something that I anticipated seeing, honestly, because they say it's pretty rare to find them. They are where you find them is kind of what they say, which means they could be in rocks, they could be in the tundra, they could be on top, they could be in so many random places. But we heard one, and
of all the things, like you didn't see one, I heard one.
It sounds like a frog or a toad croak.
When you heard it, did you like?
Well, I'm deaf, so I didn't hear it.
True. That's fair enough. There's Travis just wandering around looking at the pretty mountains.
Where are you guys looking right now? But I can see. So here's where the teamwork comes in. I can see like an eagle, and I'm looking up, and this white speck moves on top of this mountain, 800 feet roughly above us. And I don't think it was 80-degree slope. It wasn't 90, obviously, but I would say it was like 65 degrees slope. Maybe 70.
So like you can go up on your hands and knees.
So yeah, you're climbing
or hands and feet.
Hands and feet.
Yeah.
The gun's in the scabbard for a certain part of it. Trekking poles, that's a must. And the adrenaline took over. And I got to be honest, I just went straight up. Like I didn't even get winded. It was so bizarre. I remember thinking afterwards that like, how did I just get up here? But we got ourselves in position. All of a sudden there's white-tailed ptarmigan to the right. One of the doggos on point, and we can see just like all these white dots up on the rocks moving. And they were like, there's this winter's coming in Alaska. It was snowing on us at this time.
Really?
Yeah, the rain was not. It wasn't rain.
What was worse, rain or the snow?
Well, it wasn't heavy enough. I don't like rain. I would have
Yeah.
taken snow over the rain, just because everything gets so wet. But we climb up to the top, and you're in position, and it's just surreal feeling. We had a high. Those guys were, I mean, the high-pitched screams of excitement and joy after we achieved it. Because all of a sudden, we all got a rock ptarmigan, which they hadn't gotten one in years. Because it is like the holy grail, I guess. So I'm holding this big male, the one that I took out, and I just was like speechless. And I think anybody would have been in that situation too, Ben. I know you would have been there right alongside me. You would have climbed that thing just the same as we did. It was interesting because we're filming everything. So it'll be an interesting show to put together. We had multiple cameras, which allowed us to film in different places at one time. It's just, I was just talking to the guys on the way down afterwards, and I'm like, I don't know how I go into a cattail slough after this and feel the same. I don't know. It ruined me. I feel like I don't know that it's something that I would do every single day like those guys do up there, because, well, first of all, they can't do it every day because they were hurting too, which made me feel a little bit better about myself. But they're dogs, it's tough. So they space out their hikes in. And
what do they do in the what do they do in between the grouse, like rough grouse hunts?
He texted me yesterday. He got the 3 different species of grouse in Alaska. So they went on a journey. They gave their dogs a day off, and then they went up central Alaska somewhere, and they shot ruffed grouse, spruce grouse, and sharptails yesterday. So
that's a break for them.
Yeah, but the thing up there is they start their season in August, and things, it goes till the end of March. So it's a long season. But where we hunted today, a few days ago, that area might not be reachable today because of the snow. I mean, each day that we were there, we saw certain mountains take snowpack. You're hunting by glaciers. At one point, I'm on top of this peak, and I look eye level across the canyon at mountain goats.
Man.
And just behind them is a glacier. Like, it's just so surreal.
Were you above the mountain goats and you could have called them lazy? Look at you, lazy.
Well, it gives me a whole new perspective for big game hunters in the mountains. It really does. Because we saw these 2 goats, and they were obviously watching us. But I remember looking over at Evan, and I said, Evan, if you had to get close enough to take a shot at one of those 2, how do you get there? And we both just stared at him for a little bit on the side of this unreal cliff, and we're like, I don't know. I mean, obviously you go into a different mindset than you do with dogs and birds.
Yeah.
But it's just such an incredible place. I'm not trying to scare people away from doing it by saying how intense it is. If you have the chance, go for it, because it is one of those experiences that you will never regret doing. But if you want to take a little bit more enjoyable route, Bob Letta is a bush pilot at All Alaska Outdoors, and he takes those miles away and just puts you in position to see the birds by flying you into different locations. He's been guiding ptarmigan hunters for 27 years.
Wow.
And I think he's the only ptarmigan fly-in guide in Alaska.
Wow. He must, that's a lot of years in Alaska. Alaska just doesn't want you to live.
Alaska is a brutal place. I mean, realistically, 2 handguns right here on your chest. We saw a video from one of their buddies, and I think I let it play on the last episode. It was unreal. That bear comes so fast. We did see a bear the second day where we were hunting on the side of the mountain. It was a big black bear. It was not a grizzly. Okay. And it was just eating berries. There's trillions of berries, blueberries and different kinds of berries up on the mountains right now. So they're just getting ready for winter. The birds themselves are getting ready for winter. They're flocking up. So that's what gave away. When that bird croaked on top of the mountain, it called another bird into the covey, and we saw it sail across and land. And that's what gave them away. Without it, we would have walked by.
Huh.
I mean, because they're the size of a rough grouse, roughly. They're not a huge bird, and they blend in. I mean,
Yeah.
if they don't move, you could walk inches from them, and you're not going to see them.
Do you know anything or learned anything while you were up there in terms of seasonality, like what they'll do come August 15 or whenever it opens to, this time of year in October? Like, does it get easier, harder?
The birds are changing colors a lot, so they're grays and browns early season. They're going to be up in that high elevation in the tundra. They're going to be eating a lot of berries. There's a variety of berries. There's insects up there. So I looked at it and I said, guys, this is just like hunting sharp-tailed grouse on the prairie. If you find
Just like it.
except for the elevation.
I'll talk through George and I's trips. It's
I
very
know, yours has
similar.
come up. You just got back. But it really is, because you've got this, let's call it a prairie, you're up in the mountains, but it's, you can find relatively flat areas. The tundra isn't always 90-degree angles. It can be fairly flat and very enjoyable to walk. It's like a cushion to every step. It's so nice. And then you find these thicker patches of alders and willows, and where you find the thicker patches, you find the birds. So it's very similar to a sharp-tail hunt, where if you find the patches of berries on the grass, you're going to find birds a lot of times. So in that way, it was very similar. Now, in a couple days here, those spots are going to be completely gone, covered in snow. Last year at this time, it was when we were walking down last week, Eric said, last year, next week, which would be basically about the time this podcast comes out, we couldn't hunt here. We tried to get up this mountain, but we made it 3/4 of the way up to where we wanted to hunt, and the snow was over our waist.
Wow.
And there comes a point where even the pine trees disappear up on top there because of the amount of snow that they get. And then he said that the ptarmigan will migrate down.
Okay.
He said sometimes you'll actually see them right off the side of the gravel road, just like you would a grouse pick and grit.
Huh.
It's crazy. So they do what they need to do to survive. They go through these migrations. Those guys do hunt them on snowshoes, which I think would be kind of cool as well. But either way, this is kind of this early September is when they said is ideal time to go, because you get big flocks. And we did end up seeing, where the coveys come together, and, like it's lush green. It's blazing orange and yellows when the colors are changing.
Yeah.
And then you get these bright white wings that explode. Like I am obviously still excited about it. I told so many stories, but I enjoy telling them and reliving them. And I've looked through my photo albums like more than I think I've ever done before, because I'm just like, wow, we made it there. And the misery meter was high many times. And I remember telling Peter, cameraman, this will be something you're going to remember forever. It's going to suck at certain points, I promise you. But you will look back on it and say, that was awesome.
You forget about the bad times, and all of a sudden you're like, I kind of want to do that again.
Yeah, I would go back. I would go back in a second.
For Pete,
I can't stress enough the gear, light rain gear. We're not talking your heavy Sims or Gore-Tex. Eric said get light Columbia rain pants and a light rain jacket. You want it light. You can put it over the top. It doesn't weigh you down. Extra clothes. I mean, just the stuff to survive if you needed to spend the night. Bear spray on my holster. They had handguns. You think about all kinds of things that you don't typically think about.
Yeah, it just sounds like one of those trips where you can't go into it haphazardly, or you're going to have a bad time.
Yep.
You've got to have your T's crossed and I's dotted, and make sure you're ready for it.
Yeah, I've actually been throwing around the idea when we air this show. I've thrown around the idea of taking a step out of the hunt and just do a quick, here's everything that we learned and that we needed to do this successfully and safely. Because it's different than a hunt that we would normally do in quite a few different ways.
Yeah, if you forget something on a regular hunt, it's like, shoot.
Yeah, the inReach, the GPS, or the satellite phone, and that in itself, I did fall, on that rock ptarmigan. I slipped on this rock and I landed, and it like kind of started a sort of mini avalanche type thing, but when I landed on the sharp rock, like my knee is still sore. Had anything happened, like I was holding the bird, so there was blood on the rocks right there, and they didn't know if it was my blood or the bird. So there was like this moment of kind of panic, and I when I landed, I got really lightheaded. I don't know if you've ever taken a bad fall before, where it's like I'm not going to pass out, but
just give
I
me a
can't
second.
stand up yet. Yeah, so I just stood there, and we are, give or take, 7-8 miles from our vehicle.
Not easy miles.
Not easy miles. Yeah, several hours basically. And so there's just moment of, okay, is that your blood, Travis, or is that the bird? And I'm like, it doesn't look like I'm bleeding through my pants, but I need a second here to just like let my body recover from the crash. And then I pulled up the pant legs. Sorry, Mom, I know you listen to these podcasts. I pulled up my pant, and it was not my blood. And I was like, okay,
thank God.
There's no gash here that we need to worry about. But we were prepared for it.
Yeah.
I brought a variety of different tapes.
Do you have your dog first aid kit? You could have stapled yourself shut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those are real things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, pretty wild. We're 20 minutes into this conversation. I was not anticipating talking about my adventure. I want to talk about your adventure, Ben, because you just came back from Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Opening day in Montana, 180-degree different from what I experienced.
Probably literally 100-degree difference in temperature too.
Yes. So what were some things that stood out to you? September 1st is opener in Montana. It's a place you've gone now for a couple years. Mm-hmm. You travel all over the country hunting birds, but this is just kind of like, this is it, the kickoff. Right?
Yes.
And you've got a young dog that's coming into his prime, Amos. And the terrain out there allows you to see so much.
Yes.
But did the weather just like kick you in the crotch?
Oh, it was definitely a little hampering in terms of how long you could hunt. But this year, the nice thing is they've had, compared to when we were out there last year, like the rainfall was significantly improved. So the habitat was awesome. The grass was there. I remember driving around last year and looking at good spots that we found on OnX and just saying, nope, like that one's grazed, or they just completely hayed that pasture, to feed cattle. And this year it was like, if it looked good on the map, or you even thought there were going to be birds there were going to be birds there. And I didn't know if it was going to be one of those situations where it all looked good, and so it just spread the birds apart, but the hatch must have been fantastic. A lot of young birds. We beat the heat most days because we were done by 8:30 in the morning. So that was really nice.
Well, it's interesting. The heat out there, obviously it's intense, but the nights cooled down. I want to say I was checking the forecast, looking at what you guys were dealing with out there, and it looked like it got down to 48, 52, something like that each night.
Yeah, in the beginning, I think opening day was 103 or something like that.
Unreal.
So that was brutal. We had to, one of the days we had to bring the dogs inside the cabin just because we couldn't find any shade for them, and like we're going to cook them in their kennels. Yeah. But yeah, the nights were in the 50s for sure. We had a couple nights were in the 60s, which makes it rough to wake up in the morning and you only get 2 hours maybe to run the dogs. But I think then the day after we left, it was a high of like 62. So,
oh my gosh,
it's like, dang it.
Yeah, the day we left Alaska, it was sunny. The first sunny day they've had in 2 months. Oh, that's how it always goes. The day you leave is the best day.
Yep.
Hunting season is just around the corner, and that means it's time to start planning. If you're looking for a great bird hunting destination this fall, then I strongly recommend that you consider one of my favorite places to hunt. That's North Dakota. North Dakota is a bird hunter's paradise. You can hunt both waterfowl and upland birds all in the same day, and North Dakota has approximately 700,000 acres of private land open to public walk-in hunting. This year, North Dakota has a population estimate of 3.4 million breeding ducks, which is 38% above the long-term average, and their prairie pothole region is smack dab in the middle of the Central Flyway. Their spring water index also came way up, over 600% from last year's drought. Habitat on the landscape looks great, and I'm hearing reports of a strong hatch from their upland birds. With a little scouting, you just might find yourself in a field surrounded by wild flushing pheasants, sharp-tailed grouse, and Hungarian partridge. Start planning your fall hunt in North Dakota at legendarynd.com. The OnX Hunt app is one of the most valuable hunting tools that I take into the field every day. I use it on every hunt. Seriously, every hunt. Their app tells me everything I need to know about the lands that I want to hunt and the lands that we can all legally hunt on. The app also shows your location on planet Earth and clearly lays out the land boundaries. It tells you information about the type of property you're on, like state land or federal lands or walk-in access properties. It's ideal for scouting before the hunt and during a hunt to help put together patterns. The app also has helpful features that show you the kind of crops that are in fields, which obviously is a big deal for us upland bird hunters. And there's a timber cut layer to help you find the right forest habitat for ruffed grouse. If you hunt in North Dakota, there's even a layer that lets you know if a property has been posted electronically. These are just a few of the many tools OnX apps give you, and these maps can even be used in areas without cell coverage. From the palm of your hand, OnX maps always help you to know where you stand. If you're an outdoor lover on the go, then odds are good that you have toys and equipment that you want to haul. Aluma Trailers, well, they've got you covered. Their trailers are built by a hardworking team in Bancroft, Iowa. They have models for nearly any and every hauling need, from ATV and UTV trailers to utility, snowmobile, motorcycle, car trailers, and even fully enclosed trailers like mine. Trust me when I say that Aluma trailers tow like a dream. Their trailers are constructed out of lightweight, strong, corrosion-resistant aluminum, and they are 100% maintenance-free. Plus, they come with an industry-best 5-year warranty. Visit alumaklm.com to find a trailer that fits your needs. So you saw a lot of birds. In comparison to the last couple of years, bird numbers up, down, stable?
I would say very similar.
Okay.
Just looking at it in a bigger picture, I would say there's probably more birds this year just because there's more spots to hunt them, and every spot we went, we pretty much found birds. And it sounds like, across central eastern Montana, the bird numbers are good, where last year, drought had kind of put a damper on everything out further west. So I'd say overall better bird numbers this year.
It's amazing how quick they can bounce back.
Yeah. Well, those birds are, especially Sharpies, they are just, they're made for this. This is something they deal with every single year for the last 1,000 years.
Well, before we messed up their plans.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
and that's a nice thing too. When you get out west, there are places that haven't been touched yet by a plow, and that's key. That native habitat, as long as it exists, the birds find a way to survive the harsh conditions that come with it.
Yeah, they were built for it.
Yeah. To somebody that's never gone on a sharptail hunt, because I feel like, in upland hunting, it's pheasants, it's quail, grouse. But the last few years, it feels like sharptail hunting has become a cool thing to do. So the popularity, I feel like it's become a lot more popular. There are people that have definitely reached out to you. I've heard from them as well that say, you guys have been going out west, can you give me some advice? What would you do? Where would you go? Things like that. What do you tell them?
The biggest thing for me is just finding that area to go, right? Because, you look at Montana or Nebraska or Kansas or Wyoming, and they're huge states, and it's really daunting, right? So it just figuring out where the birds even live, right? If I go to western Montana, I'm gonna have a really bad time hunting sharptail.
Yeah.
Firstly, because you can't hunt them west side of the state. But
your regulations, obviously.
Yeah, there's just not that many of them. So first, it's just finding where they are in the state, and then from there, it's just kind of honing in on areas. And then once you get there, if you're not finding birds, if you spend a day or two out there and don't find birds, have a plan B, get up and leave. I've had to do it. And so just to be mobile and have a couple different plans is the biggest thing, because at least for me, part of the fun is figuring it out, right? It stinks in the moment to have 2 terrible days of hunting, but then to figure it out, it just makes it that much more rewarding. So
yeah, if your goal is to just bring home a sack full of birds and you don't care about the experience, then maybe going to a game farm makes more sense. But if you're looking for the challenge that comes with trying to figure it out. That's where so many of us, for me, and I know for you and the rest of our friends, we just love the challenge, because when you get that bird, like, the high fives are real.
Yeah.
Like, the joy is real for everybody, because, like, hey, we just figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fun of being able to go to some of these places out west, because sometimes you get into a block management area and you're talking hundreds of thousands of acres.
Yeah, I mean, as far as you look, it's just sprawling, endless.
And that's Montana. You go to Wyoming and you've got, each state has their different BLM or different places that you can go. And for sharptails or for sage grouse or, some of these early season birds, North Dakota just opened as well. And I think South Dakota opens this Saturday, yes. I think. So now, places, prairie birds are going to be opening pretty much all over the upper Midwest where they live. And if you're going to go after them, Ben, it can be a big place, but you take a section. What do you look for within that to find out if that's a place you want to go?
The biggest thing is it's similar to finding pheasants, but obviously a lot different. I am just looking for diversity. So when you're looking at aerial imagery, it's finding those different color grasses on the map. It's finding, pockets of bushes, whether they're choke cherries, whether they're, a lot of the times, like a buffalo berry or a snowberry is going to be darker on the map. So it's finding those areas where it has a lot of diversity. And obviously, a little terrain as well helps. So that's really what I'm honing in on. And then not finding one of those spots, but finding 25 of those spots within, drivable distance. Because if you get there and there's not birds in spot one, then you better have some backup options, or else you're going to be wasting time out there trying to figure it out.
Have you ever had times where you've been out there and your plans you mentioned having to move, but like, you're out there in the field and you're like so convinced when you go into it, I'm going to find him here, and you don't?
Yeah, it happened this year.
Really?
A spot that I love. It's a great area. Found birds in it last year. It's just probably one of the most picturesque spots that I hunt. And, this year the goal was to get, George's got a young pointer, and then my dog Amos, he's a year and a half. So we just wanted to get him into birds. Wasn't so much, the goal wasn't finding new areas, but finding birds. So went back to a lot of the haunts that I found him before, and I just was giddy getting out of the truck. Like, all right, George, last year, like, there was birds here, there were birds here. And we walk around this whole thing for a whole morning, and you only get 2 or 3 hours, like I was saying. So I think we found one covey that we foot flushed at the end. And it's just,
what do you think caused that?
I don't know. The habitat looked great. We were talking if it was that was a really cool morning. So we started off kind of on the side hills versus maybe we should have started up on top of the ridges where there's a little less cover. They like to be up on top in the early mornings. So maybe it was something that we did. Maybe they were out in the fields feeding and then filtered back in there. But yeah, there were just no birds there. And so it was a little bit different habitat than I normally hunt. It was not quite as thick.
Was there cows in the pasture?
Nope, it hadn't been grazed.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's just like one of those areas that, we got beat that day, which is fine.
It's fine. Yeah, exactly.
The birds have to win sometimes.
Yes, exactly. Let's switch gears a little bit. So you work at OnX Hunt, and you're in charge of the bird division in the Midwest, right? I mean, what's your official title?
Well, technically it's like Midwest. I can't even remember it now. Business development manager.
There you go.
Yeah,
gotcha. So you're developing stuff all the time that help us hunters. What's new this year for OnX that people can expect to see when they open up their app?
So we've got a number of really cool things. One thing that I'm personally really excited about, and it'll impact us being from Minnesota specifically. I don't know if you've looked in there, but we have a new timber harvest layer.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
So
we're rough grouse hunters. That's where I was going to go with this. Yeah.
Yes. So we In the past, a lot of it was focused on west. So we had a lot of the, national forest land had their timber cuts, but a friend of mine from northern Minnesota, she's a biologist, and she's like, you should really get this data set in. And so I was all over it.
How does that work? So you go to the state has that information, right?
Yeah.
And how do you work that to make that?
It's magic.
I know, like last year when North Dakota trespass laws went digital, we were talking about it, and I was talking to Mike Jensen over there, and I don't know if you ended up talking to him to connect all the dots, or somehow all of a sudden, boom, there it is. It's on your OnX app, and you can find out who posted their land electronically. And similarly here, like somebody's recording that data. And is it in the state?
Yeah, a lot of it is the state. So like we're not going out and we don't have the information for timber cuts, but a lot of the
slide some money under the rug type thing. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I mean it's all publicly accessible, but the problem is unless you have a program like ArcGIS or it's just hard to make sense of all of it. I mean, I think when my friend first told me about it, I was like, I downloaded a couple maps on my computer, a couple, I guess, mapping software, ArcGIS type things, and was trying to like figure it out because like I need this data now.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is not going to work.
You can do this a lot quicker than I can. Let's
so
make
like
it happen.
The people, our GIS team at OnX is like, I don't even know how I took a GIS class in college.
Do you remember any of it?
Oh gosh, I think I remember like, all right, you put a manhole cover here. And so I went back in this program like, yeah, I think I can figure it out. And I was like, oh no, you can't figure this out, Ben. So I sent it off to them, and I think they made like a kind of a beta version for me last year within like a day. So I was like, heck yeah. And then so we got it up in the app now. I think it's under like Minnesota Timber Harvest layer. So that's something I'm super excited about because it essentially like, if we had 10 cuts in an area now we have 100 cuts in the area. So it's just added all that.
Yeah. And if you're a ruffed grouse hunter, or if you're wanting to be, ruffed grouse habitat is young growth. So the importance of logging for people that don't understand this, and this is all across the upper Midwest, out east, northeast, where ruffed grouse live, the habitat needs to be cut, needs to have new growth and constant turnover. Specifically, Ben, there's a couple trees that you want to look for. What is it that you tell people when they want to go look for ruffed grouse? What are the age range now, and which particular trees?
Yeah, so it really varies, like you said, by region, right? If you go out east, it's completely different than it is here in the Midwest, but around here, you pretty much live and die by aspen cuts. I mean, that's probably the number one area. Age range around here, and it really depends. It really varies by soil type and like how productive a soil is. Because once a tree gets about past the thickness of your wrist, it starts to get too tall. You lose that understory. But I like to tell people like 5 to 15. So a lot of the cuts that produced for me last year were like 14, 15, 16.
That old.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it just, and again, those were areas where it was poor soil, so trees aren't going to necessarily grow as fast. Like there's some cuts that are just starting to get good that I remember deer hunting when I was a kid that were clear cut in 2005, 4. So.
Yeah, it's cool to be able to have this data, and I think sometimes when I drive by, at least a couple years ago before having that feature, I would make little notes, cut in 2019, cut in 2017, where I hunt. I just wanted to keep tabs on it, and now I'm at a point, some of those spots, I'm like, I'm going to go check them out now.
Yeah, they're starting to get good.
They're starting to get good, and it changes, too. And some of your favorite spots may not be as good anymore. I remember I had some spots when 20-some years ago, there's probably not a grouse on that property anymore.
That's the part I love about grouse hunting, though.
Yeah.
It forces you to go find new stuff. You can't go
and gets right back to that same, the joy that comes with figuring it out.
Yep.
It's so much fun. Early season ruffed grouse, now Minnesota opens up this weekend, I think.
Yep.
And
17th?
yeah. The amount of leaves really can hamper. You might get a lot of,
Yes.
but you might not even see that bird. It changes a lot quick. What do you do early season, and then as the season goes on when it comes to rough grouse?
Yeah. So when I got back from Montana, I started running Amos in the woods again. So I've been out a few times now, and I'll start off by saying the bird numbers should be fantastic. It should be a great year for rough grouse hunters. I think I've been seeing broods in areas I've never seen broods before in the past. So
love it.
Even though it's not necessarily following our historic 10-year cycle, which normally peaks on years ending in 0 and 1. So it'd be 2020, 2021, and then it starts to dip down.
So we'd be peaked last year?
So we should have peaked in 2020 or 21. That's kind of how it historically goes.
Huh. This is what's interesting. I feel like it changes based on, I don't know, like I've had a hard time keeping up with the 10-year. Are we on the down? Are we on the up? And the numbers don't always show that. Like you're saying, like if we're on a down, it might be better than last year. And last year was good.
Yeah, last year was fantastic. But the thing is so I think that is averaged across.
Hold on a second. Do you think it was better, or do you think you're a better hunter, so it makes it like your success is better than it was 10 years ago because you know so much more now? And you're able to pinpoint them so much quicker, and your dog is able to get out there further?
I think that definitely has to do with it as well. But even like just driving around logging roads, like driving to the spot, driving down the gravel roads, I was definitely seeing more birds. And I took essentially a 5-year hiatus when I lived in Mississippi. I can't think I came back a couple of years to hunt grouse. But I think a big thing too is that's an average, like that 10-year trend is an average probably across a state or region, but that doesn't mean individual pockets of cover could be way up or way down. And then this year we had, they were speculating that it was going to be a bad year because we had like the worst, I shouldn't say the worst, but dang near the worst type of weather. We had a wet, cool spring, which is generally not good for hatch. And a lot of the times you're shooting, I can't remember what the percentage is, but the vast majority of birds you're shooting are young of the year birds in the fall. So it was not shaping up to be a good year. But, I think what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot of full broods of, 10, 11, 12 birds in it, but they were really young. So kind of my thought process is a lot of those birds just...
late hatch?
The late hatch, yep. Because there's young birds now.
Will they, like a pheasant, will they have a second or third?
No, they will not. They will re-nest.
Yeah.
But they will not have two broods. And actually I don't think pheasants
don't either, but if their brood if it fails, then they'll re-nest up to 3 times.
Yeah.
I didn't know if rough grouse were the same.
Yeah, so the thing is what I've been seeing is at least with broods having 10, 11, 12 birds in it, that's generally an indication of that is their first nesting attempt. Because otherwise, if it's a second attempt, you're going to see
less
4, 5, 6 little ones just because they have to invest so much energy into it. So that kind of, for me, points to late hatch, and the bird numbers should be good. So. Yeah, well, we've been running into a lot of them. So
that's exciting. I don't know if I think I enjoy the changing of the seasons, and like you go from like break down what does your season look like, because you hunt a variety of birds in a variety of places.
Yeah. So I'll normally start off on the prairie out west, chasing Sharpies, just because that's the Sharpies and Huns, because that's the first thing that really opens up. Now, maybe next year I'll be doing like Alaska, because my friend Travis had such a good time out there.
Do it, man. Just do it. That's all I got to say. You won't regret it. So keep going.
Yeah. So then from Sharpies, it transitions. I'll normally start hunting grouse and woodcock in the upper Midwest Great Lakes states through... I normally try to get through all of October just hunting grouse and woodcock before I transition to pheasants. And then I'll generally hunt pheasants and pheasants mostly in November. I'll do a trip down to Kansas and hunt quail as well in November. And then through December, it just kind of varies. Like I'll go back down to Kansas. I think this year I'm going to go do Montana and then Idaho.
I'm coming with.
All right, deal.
I'm coming with.
Deal. So, yeah, I'll do Idaho Chucker in December.
Have you done that before?
Never.
Oh, gosh.
Never.
It's before Alaska. When people ask, like, what would be your favorite adventure? And Idaho is one of the most beautiful places in the lower 48. I just thoroughly loved everything about my hunt out there. I would go back in a second. So I'm really excited that you're going out there.
As I'm slogging up the hills dying, I'll just be like, oh, it could be worse. I could be in Alaska.
No, you don't, because you stop for a minute
Yeah.
and you watch your dog and you're just like, the thing about trying to capture it on a camera for video or just taking a picture, like you're in this amazing setting. You're just looking around and you pan around and you look and then you take your phone out and you're like, I got to try to capture this. And you're like, it doesn't look the same. And nothing you take on a camera looks anything like the vastness that you're in. No. And then you forget about your sore ankles and you forget about the sweat on your back and you just keep going.
Feeling you can't capture. Mm-hmm. It's one thing when you're sitting on a couch, right? And it's like, but when you're out there, it's the video camera can't capture the smell and the feeling, you know, how you're tired, you're sweating, but yet you're like weirdly happy. It's like it doesn't, you can't capture that.
Yeah, we brought this little cooking setup, and I think this is gonna be my new thing. Very small little pan, little plastic container with olive oil, and another little plastic container of seasoning, and then you've got a knife, and we cooked up birds on top of the mountain, and I had never eaten ptarmigan before, and they tasted similar to rough grouse to me.
Huh.
Which I was expecting it to be less enjoyable.
So is it whiter meat then?
No, it was darker. It wasn't as dark as a spruce grouse.
Okay.
But it...
Like a Sharpie, yes?
Yeah, it was kind of like a Sharpie.
Yeah.
But maybe it was the calories we burned to get there. Maybe it was the setting. Maybe it's the fact that 10 minutes earlier, a couple of them were still alive.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. But it was just like... We all, afterwards, we cooked up 4 birds and we're like, oh, I could do 4 more easy. Like it was so amazing. So I think moving forward, my plan would be to figure out a way to have bird lunch, not shore lunch, but bird lunch, you know, up there, because it just brings it all together right there. It just does not get better than that.
It's going to be like, you're going to be like Wally the beer guy, and I was walking around with that stand there and walking, cooking up food as you're walking.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to be sending a message to Chief Upland here to figure out how to extend the back pouch on their vest, because I'm going to be carrying a lot more stuff.
There you go.
The flush. So fast, it hardly seems real. So vivid, the moment freezes in time before erupting in a blur of spurs and feathers. It's why we changed the way upland loads are built with Prairie Storm. Exclusive flight control flex wad technology and a mix of copper-plated lead and flight stopper pellets combine to create dense, deadly shot strings through any choke. Longer shots, more power, fewer missed birds. Only from Federal.
I love my dog, and like you, I always want to make sure that she has what she needs to stay healthy year-round and perform at her best in the field. That's why I feed Daisy Nutrisource high-performance dog food. Nutrisource dog food comes with their Good for Life system that includes 4 key ingredients that work together to support gut health, heart health, and the overall well-being of our dogs. I have complete confidence that my dog has all of the nutrition to excel in the field and make it through a rigorous hunting season. I've seen it firsthand, and she loves her food. Take it from me and my dog Daisy. Nutrisource high-performance dog food can help your dog reach their full potential. Find the food that's right for your dog at NutrisourcePetFoods.com. Waltons.com has everything, and I mean everything for your everyday cooking and wild game processing needs. Plus, they have experts on staff to help you learn how to use those products to get the best results. John Tremblay hosts their Meatgistics podcast, live streams and live chats, which are interactive learning tools for the meat processing community. If you have questions, John and his team have the answers, from sausage making to smoking, recipes to seasonings, and so much more. Walton's products ship the same day you order. They have over 5,000 items in stock, from grinders, mixers, stuffers, slicers, smokers, vacuum sealers, and a whole lot more. Order the same seasonings and supplies that professionals use from the best name in the wild game processing industry. Then sign up for their monthly giveaways. Waltons, they have everything but the meat. I got a question from you. This came in last night, actually, from a podcast listener. And it was ironic because he asked this question, and I said, well, you're in luck because I haven't been on the podcast tomorrow. I'm going to ask him this. So here it goes. This comes from Grant Thompson. Hey, Travis, just wanted to say I'm a fan of yours here in central Minnesota. Thanks, Grant. But I had a question that I'm not sure who else to ask. So February of 2021, my dad surprised me with a 5-year-old German short-hair pointer named Stubby. His older owner was getting deployed in Afghanistan and didn't have anyone to watch after the dog. After some talking back and forth, he was more than happy to sell him to me for a first bird dog. When I brought him back to my house, the very next day I took him on a walk down a local trail here in the Brainerd Lakes area, and he locked up on point not even 10 minutes in. I was overjoyed as a 17-year-old boy to finally have my own bird dog, but my luck ran out. Because before I realized what he was pointing, it was too late. He had already grabbed this large porcupine. Being so new with him, I hadn't learned his commands yet to get him to leave it alone, and I ended up carrying this 40-pound short hair over my shoulder out of the woods. A long ride to the vet and 60-plus quills taken out later left me with a very swollen short hair. But we got through it and developed a strong bond that day and over the summer. We trained and played every day. I had never pheasant hunted before, but when 2021 season rolled around, we were after them. Him and I chased roosters all fall through the Minnesota prairies. This year, I have a new goal, but also a problem. I recently listened to your podcast with Ben Brettingen on being a more confident bird hunter. And if you didn't listen to that, when did we record? Maybe last winter?
Yeah. Was that a fish house last
Fish house podcast. Yeah. Okay. So go back and look for how to become a confident bird hunter. Anyway, I recently listened to your podcast with Ben Brettingen on being a more confident bird hunter and realized something. Stubby and I are as confident as ever chasing roosters, but something I have avoided is the grouse woods. This year, I want to get Stubby on some grouse, but I have a terrible fear about running into another porcupine. How do you deal with anxieties when it comes to dangers in the woods?
That's a really good question.
I told him I would ask you.
I was expecting it more like a tactical question, like, what do you do about porcupines?
Well, you and I pulled several out of your German dogs because they love porcupines.
Yeah, man, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
That's good. You know, it's something that I deal with all the time. Like, to be honest.
Anxieties or porcupines?
Anxieties. Okay. Land porcupines. I've got German dogs.
Yes.
Yeah. Whether it's, you're driving out to Montana and, this tire's wearing a little funny. Man, I don't want to add a new set of tires to, is my dog limping? Like, what's that? Like, like there's always
something in the back of your mind.
Something like with Amos, for example, he had a stint last spring where it's called they call it rhabdo, where it's essentially protein breaking down in your dog, like potential liver failure. I don't think that's
Amos had that.
Yeah, like I don't,
as a pup.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. Like, I don't think he actually has it, but all of a sudden you're looking at him while he's peeing. It's like, is that too dark brown? Like, does he have this again? So like for me, I get it. Like, there's always something in the back of your head, and kind of my philosophy, it's like, all right, are you going to do something about it? And if the answer is no, then it's like, okay, why are you worrying about it? Like, if I'm worried about it, it's like, all right, well, either like in this case, like, all right, go to the vet, Ben. Or if you're just going to ride it out, like, don't like, okay, you can't do anything about it. Just put it in the back of your head. So like with porcupines, in this particular case, like getting into the grouse woods, it's the confidence to know that you can deal with it when it happens. Because again, as a German dog guy, it is going to happen. Like, I'm just going to tell you that it happened. Thankfully, knock on wood, it didn't happen to me this year, but
really?
Yeah.
First time in a while.
First time, which is fantastic. But the guys are with, I think they have German dogs. I think they got into 7.
So I keep some tools in my back pouch, and we've plucked many a quills out of dogs before.
Yep.
Tool-wise, what do you recommend?
So, I mean, the best thing you can have, so I've got a pair of just like regular hemostats, and then I've also got a pair of needle nose like pliers that you use for fishing or whatever. Just one's a little bit more surgical, the other's a little bit more brute force.
Yeah.
And that's, some guys will carry like a dowel rod with a string so you can stick the dowel rod in their mouth and then wrap the string around the back of their head to keep their mouth open. But I pretty much just, you'll either put a leather glove and then stick my hand in their mouth because they're not, my dogs are generally okay with it.
So tools are very important, obviously. I think maybe I would add to this the importance of constantly touching your dog. Like when you and I and George had a podcast last spring about the foundation, touching your dog's feet, touching every part of their body so that they're comfortable with it when the time comes that you need to go to work in the field. They're not fighting against you, making it even harder yet. So that's a thing that you want to do a lot of. Touch every part of the dog's body, mouth, everything.
Yeah.
Regularly.
Yeah, for sure. Having the right tools, but then like, when it happens, like it's just a matter of, all right, take a deep breath. Like the nice thing about porcupines, it stinks. It's awful. Like, but it's happened enough times where it's like, yeah, it's no big deal. Like, dang, dog's got into porcupines. I know how to handle it. It's not a big deal. You don't have to bring them to the vet. There, there's instances where, yeah, you definitely should bring them to the vet. But for the most,
what would those be?
Well, you get a dog that has 500-600 quills in it. Like its face.
Have you seen that much?
I've seen pictures. I saw a dog. Well, one dog we were out with last year. Like this dog's sole mission is to kill porcupines, and it will kill them. Like normally they just jump at them.
Yeah, and then they learn real quick not to.
But I think I watched. I don't know. They said they pulled 400 or 500 quills out of this dog. I think the most I've had was maybe 150, 200.
Dang, that's a lot.
Yeah, and it's nice to have a friend there to help you out. Like hunting by yourself and having that happen. Like the nice thing is when you're back to like the anxiety question, like when you're with somebody, at least for me, it really seems to like just help dissipate some of that because you have someone there to share in the, not only like the ups, but then help you when things aren't going well.
Yeah, if you get into some situation and your buddy's calm next to you, it really helps bring your level back down. I've learned as well. Like, nope, your dog's going to be okay because
like,
they think about it's like like being a parent. This is funny. When you're in a big group setting and all of a sudden a kid starts screaming and crying and all parents are like, is that my kid?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you realize, ooh, that's not mine. And then you just like, you go back down to your normal level. You can think clearly. Now the other parent who actually has that kid is like, they're up there with that child too. But you can think clearly, so you can help. And that's the same thing with your dog being mouthful of quills. Somebody else like George coming over and being like, take a deep breath.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out.
Yep. And I think, when I pulled some quills out in some random places, in mountains and different, like, just take your time. Make sure you get all of them and you don't want to leave them in. Even if it's just a little tiny one, it can.
They migrate.
Yes, exactly.
So interesting point of like, that was something initially when my dogs were getting to porcupines, I was just deathly afraid about because you go on the old WebMD and instantly you have cancer, you're going to die. Like that's pretty much like I stubbed my toe. Yeah, you have cancer, you're going to die.
Yeah.
But
it's never as bad as the internet says.
No, never. So I was out and I had Annie got into him, kind of same situation. First day before the even season started, this was last year with Annie, and like sunset, like, oh yeah, it's going to be a heck of a run. Like knock the dust off here, and 10 minutes in, porcupine. It's like, shoot. And she had a bunch and had a couple like up by her eye. So then the next day I brought her in and I was just asking the vet and she's like, yeah, we see, I don't know, 100, 200 dogs a year in the fall with, that get quails. And I was like, well, do you have to worry about the ones that are in there? She's like, I've seen thousands in my life and I've never had a problem with them migrating.
Really?
So like, yes, it does. You want to get them all out, but like, don't let it, don't lose sleep at night.
So for Grant, I think the advice is go hunt.
Yep.
And it might happen again. I've also heard from people that the dog learns their lesson really quickly. One of two things happen.
They're German dogs, Travis.
Yeah, I know, but some of them I've heard it goes one of two ways. One, they're not going to touch it again. And two, they're mad at every one of them and they're going to go after every single one of them because the last one left them mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one more piece of advice, if you're really like, you're just like, I don't want to deal with this. I can't, like it just overbearing. Go out and shoot a porcupine and it's just like if you Google snake avoidance training, you can do the same thing, but insert a porcupine.
Yep.
And use your e-collar, and then that's one way that you can prevent that from happening if it's something weighing on your mind super heavily.
I did the same snake avoidance training on a porcupine in Nebraska last year. So there was one feeding out and working its way across this cut alfalfa field, and we're driving and I go, whoa, 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 stop. And like, I need to go do something here. Really important, really quick. We're in the middle of filming and we're trying to get up and through this pasture area. So I stopped the car in front of me and I was like, I need to go right over here real quick. I got to show something to my dog. So I did the avoidance training when she was going up to this porcupine. And she's like, obviously it stood out to her. And then I let her sit there and think about it for a minute. You want her to think, you want your dog to think through that. Then I brought her back through the field and we came up to it again and I did it again.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to know this is a no.
Don't do this. This is bad.
So 3 hours later, we're like 30 miles into this horseback ride and all of a sudden Daisy goes on point on this side hill. And I walk up to this bush and about to kick it thinking I'm going to get a prairie chicken to come out. Big old porcupine.
Oh.
She stayed 10 feet away from it and didn't move. And I go,
nothing.
Good girl, Daisy. And I rubbed the side of her and I grabbed her by the collar, lifted her front legs up, turned her, and we just went on our way. I don't know for sure if the avoidance training worked right there, but she didn't stick her face into that porcupine.
Yeah.
So if you ever have the chance.
Yes, it worked.
I would say so too. Grant, you might find a porcupine on the side of a road someday up there. And if you do, bring it home.
Yeah.
Bring it home and use it to your advantage and bring all your buddies, friends over that have dogs and let them, learn that is a no. Mm-hmm. It might help.
Exactly.
We're about an hour into our conversation. We haven't got to the controversy yet.
Gosh.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Okay,
I'm
we'll
ready.
make it work. A couple months ago?
Yeah.
2 months ago, maybe?
Something like that.
You wrote an article and I don't remember. What did you title the article in Pheasants Forever magazine?
I don't even remember now.
Part of me feels like I need to go pull
you
it
should
up.
go look it up here.
Anyway, you basically called out every. Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah.
Brandon, tap dance. Play some music. Do, 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 do,
Let's see if I can actually find it.
You're looking.
It was called. So the story was titled "A Kennel Divided."
Okay, tell me about this story.
So kind of what it spurred from is I, kind of my intro. I've always had, I had short hairs growing up, and then I got 2 draughts, and then I started, hunting a lot more, bird hunting a lot more, and then I kind of saw that, hey, there's other options here. There's other breeds of dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever breed of dog you have, whether you're in a club, NAVDA, the VDD, whatever, like you kind of drink the Kool-Aid a little bit. Like, and it's great. Like, yeah, like my draughts are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But then like you start to get out and hunt with other people and it's like, man, there's more opportunities.
There's
more,
other dogs out there. Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up getting Amos, my pointer. And so I was like, I should write an article, and I was feeling a little spicy at the time.
It was awesome. I loved it.
So I wrote it for the Quail Forever Journal, and I was emailing with Chad Love, and I said, Chad, this is going to be a little controversial. He's like, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it to him, and I said, hey, if you need to edit this or want me to rewrite it, like, go ahead. And I think he sent an email back saying, no, it's great. And Chad's a little spicy too, so
he loved it.
And so he liked it, and then I went out in the magazine first, and it was quiet. I was like, okay, a lot of people, especially in the bird dog world, sent me messages saying like, man, this is spot on article. I love it. And then it was posted online, and then
the comments came out.
Comments.
So did you go to read it? Was it hate mail?
So somebody tagged me in it. Somebody tagged me in, like, I think PF or QF posted on the Facebook page, and all of a sudden by the time I got to look at it, it was like 170 comments. I was like, oh, I must have touched a nerve here.
I knew you were going to.
Yeah.
I remember texting you, have you heard any comments yet? And you're like, no, quiet yet.
Yeah. So I mean, for you that haven't read it,
yes. Tell them why it's so controversial.
Yeah. So kind of what I did is it was comparing and contrasting the dogs, and kind of my take on it is like there are only X amount of breeds as just straight bird hunters. There are really only 3 or maybe 4 breeds of dog you need, and that's setters, pointers. I forgot to mention Brittany's in there, but Brittany's are also acceptable.
Okay. And where would they be? Where would they fall in?
What's that?
Where would they fall into your, like, would it be setters and Brittany's? You put them together?
Setters, pointers, Brittany's.
Okay.
And then like if you hunt it's just straight upland, like those are the only 3 bird dogs I think you need.
And somebody with the lab curses you
right
now.
So now
defend yourself.
So now with like, let's take if you hunt, like the reason I got a draught is because I duck hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I duck hunted, I bird hunted, I blood tracked deer. And so it's like, okay, that fits that situation. Like my draughts, they're not the best. Like if I want a pure bird dog, like they're not the best at it. Like
they're good.
Yeah.
But you're saying they're not.
They are not the pinnacle.
Yep.
Like if you want a true bird dog, get a pointer, get a setter, get a Brittany. Like those are the best. That's what they're bred for.
You compared it in like a football analogy. Yeah. You said you don't send a linebacker out to cover a wide receiver out wide.
Just like you don't put a cornerback on the line of scrimmage to go duke it out in the cattail swamps or whatever, hunting ducks. And then a caveat, I think I put this in the article that probably a lot of people like glossed over, but it really depends on your goals, right? Like I wanted a pure bird dog that I don't care, what he's like at home. He's great at home, by the way, but with the pointer, like I just want a pure performance machine. But there's people that get breeds out of nostalgia, right? Like I grew up with this breed, I just like the way they look, and that's fine. But don't kid yourself saying that this is the best breed for purely bird hunting, because it's not. So
So then you're basically saying, to kind of help people understand a little bit more of this article, go read it if you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I encourage it. It's online. It's great because it makes you think a little bit. And I have had the very, I'm grateful for this opportunity to host this TV show and podcast. But what it has allowed me to do is to see all of these breeds in the field over the last 7-8 years since I've been doing this. And most hunters will never hunt with that many different bird dogs. They're going to hunt with their dog. Maybe their buddies have the same. And those are the people they hunt with. So they love what they have. They don't know what they don't know. And so then when the Heisman comes up and they're putting up the stop sign and defending this is the breed and it does all these things, it's possible that they haven't seen a different breed in a different situation. Maybe it's, like your pointer is flying through the prairie, finding dogs at 500-600 yards or finding birds at 500 or 600 yards and locking down point, not flinching. Somebody with a lab out there that's quartering beautifully, hunting great, they're covering different amount of terrain. You're covering, like 500 times the amount of ground, in that your dog is excelling in that scenario.
Yeah, and somebody out there doing that, like if you're happy, heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to rain on your parade, but don't come and tell me that your dog is better at it.
Yeah. Do you think people do that?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I mean, not directly. They don't come to your face and say, yeah, my dog's better than you, but like they'll start bragging on their dogs.
Which everyone does. It's like
I
your
do
kid too.
Yeah,
exactly. We all do it, and that's great. But the reality is, and this gets back to the point of the article, the reality is that there are dogs that are bred for different scenarios, different landscapes, and they can excel in different places and not so much in others. Like your draughts are pretty good at most things, but you say they're not great at anything.
Yeah, they're kind of a jack of all trades, but a master of none. So, it's like if I'm going to blood track deer, I'm going to go get a Teckle or some dog that was strictly bred for blood tracking, if that's all I did. Same thing, like if I'm a waterfall guy, I'm going to get a lab because that's what they're really good at. Even like maybe George will argue otherwise, but like if I want to go kill pheasants, I'm probably not going to bring Amos. Like if I'm going to go punch through cattail sloughs, I'll probably bring one of the draughts. I can get them to work closer. It might not be the prettiest dog work all the time, but they're effective.
Yeah.
So it just all depends on what your goals are.
Well, I think George Lyle would say that a pheasant, and I've heard other dog trainers, a pheasant can ruin a good pointer. Yeah. A good pointing dog, whether it's a setter or an English pointer or whatever it might be, because they don't hold.
No, and a dog, a good like Boone or Tucker, one of George's pointers, like they've been around the block. They're 10 and 11 now.
Yeah,
like it's pretty amazing to watch those dogs work pheasants.
That's why you have your pointer, isn't it? That's why I have Daisy.
Yeah,
between watching George's dogs hunt quail and grouse and pheasants and chucker and all kinds of birds out west. Like the fact that I'm walking the side hill of a mountain, but the cover, there's something up there 500 yards ahead of me or 300 feet higher. That dog will go check it out. Whereas I don't have to go there with a short ranging dog.
I was talking to George about this. I don't know if you remember, we were hunting with, it was you, me, George, and Custis in Montana. And there's a rock pile in the middle of the field. And I look over and say, I wonder if there's any birds there. George is like, well, all right, I bet Boone will go check it out. And it was like 500 yards away. And sure enough, that dog made a loop all the way around that.
Approached it from downwind side. And yes, I mean, when the dog knows what it's doing and how to hunt out there, that is what that dog is bred for. It is so cool to watch. But at the same time, like I look at my dog, and when I put her in cattails, it's misery.
Yeah,
it is. And I stand by it. Like she's not. Yes, she's gonna find birds. Yes, she's gonna point some, but she's so used to the range and getting out, and in that kind of cover,
Minnesota public land, like they just don't, or even private, but they just don't take pressure.
Yeah, they don't. So then, she'll get them up out of range. She's trying to hold them, but they're running, and she's like, how close do I get? And so it's this constant trespass. Now, if I had a dog that is working 20, 30, 40 feet in front of me, hunting like crazy, now when that bird gets up, it's within range. So there's definitely a right place. No, I wouldn't say right place. Like, yes, she can do it. Yes, I'm going to take her out and we're going to go, but it's not her strength.
No, it's like that. That's honestly a great spot for a lab.
It is. I wish I had a lab for that.
Close, bust and cover. But again, it's like all depends on what you do and what your goals are. But kind of like the main, one of the main threads for the article is like, people are so kennel blind.
Yeah.
Like, and I fell into it with the draughts. Like I thought they were God's gift to the world, but they're not. They're good at what they do, but so just like take a step back and like I encourage you, go hunt with other people with different dogs and I mean you're the king of it. You've probably seen more dogs on the ground in different situations than most people will in their lifetime. So.
It was a struggle for me because I saw so many dogs in their element where they should be, and then I was like, I want that. But what's realistic for me? Where am I going to hunt the most? And that should determine what kind of dog I get. And there's times where I look at the high-powered, far-ranging 800 yards she wants to run and check what's over the horizon. It's not perfect for a Minnesota 40-acre WMA because she's done covering that before most people even get your legs,
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is it, huh?
Yeah.
Daisy's going to work. She'll tell you what's here in 3 minutes. We'll be done. Yeah.
All right, that was fun. Let's go do something else.
Yes, exactly. No, it's definitely an interesting article, and I agreed with a lot of the points. I'm not ever going to tell somebody that their dog isn't great. It's like telling someone your kid's not either. I think it is worth taking a look at your breed and your situation, and if you are going to get a dog, think about what you're going to do with it. That should determine what kind of dog, because there are certain dogs that have been bred for the exact scenario that you're looking for. Some of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
Not great at all things, or like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll let them read your article. It's thought provoking indeed, controversial. Hey, what was the argument that went 170 responses long?
So if you read this, at some point in the article, I state like, oh, yep, this will probably get out. I'm going to ruffle some feathers. There's going to be hate mail. And I think, what did I say? It was something like, don't tell me that your dog is going to do better than this dog. And then, of course, here comes the flood on Facebook, posting pictures of their dog saying, oh, my dog is better. This dog is great.
You haven't seen my dog hunt this.
That's exactly what it was.
My dog would go and find it.
But you haven't seen my dog, and I think my response was, I don't care. I don't believe you. And I didn't say that. That was in the article.
Sure.
I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
Yep. Yeah, and that's, when it comes to big country specifically, the further west you go and the bigger the country, you can learn really quick if your dog is up to that task.
Yeah.
And it's just it'll change your hunting style or how you're going to be able to cover it based on the dog that you've got out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people should be expecting that. Like right now, early season, Montana, prairie birds, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Nebraska, Sandhills. I mean, those are massive, massive places. You get in it and you realize quickly why some people have a dog that goes out.
Yeah, and you can be successful hunting a closer ranging dog, but it is not the best tool for that situation. You're trying to hammer a nail in with a oversized crescent wrench.
You're going to get there. It's
Yeah, exactly. So it works. But again, if you're happy, if you love your dog, you're happy to hunt behind it, great. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But just don't tell me that it is the best dog for that situation.
Somebody's going to tell you that theirs is better than yours. And I wouldn't say you're not saying your dog is the best. I'll leave it at that.
No, my dog is not the best. Like
I would love to hunt with your dog all season long. Amos is a machine. It's just, I love watching that dog hunt. You've done an amazing job. We'll end it with this. You've got a dog, and this dog has come a long way, but how old is Amos?
Amos is a year and a half now.
What is your expectations of a year and a half old dog that you've spent time with?
The biggest thing is I didn't really have, being it was one of my first pointers, I didn't really have a whole lot of expectations. Like, I just kind of let him develop and let him tell me where he was, what he was ready for. Thankfully, pointers, they mature pretty fast. So like now I'm expecting him. I don't care whether it's in the grouse woods or out on the prairies of Montana. If you go and point at 400 yards, I expect you to stand there, let me walk up, shoot the birds, you stand still until I let you go. And that most of the time, I shouldn't say, but half the time, that's true. But that's just something that, he's got to keep learning, and we just got to keep getting more reps in. So,
well, you spend a lot of time with your dog. You spend a lot of time with all of your dogs. You've got 4.
Yep.
And you're very active out there in the field, but it all comes back to how often you go back to the foundation. Mm-hmm. Do you know? It's not, I guess I don't consider it going back to the foundation. It's just built into the everyday fabric of what you do. There's those elements in there, whether it's every time that dog comes out of the truck, the command lead goes on. Mm-hmm. You use the collar or the command lead to stop the dog, and then you go, dog comes back, it's on the command lead, goes in the kennel. Mm-hmm. Like, those are foundation level things that you do every day that are just built into the fabric of your process. Yeah. It's so funny because George has taught us so much, mm-hmm. and sometimes hunting with Mr. Lyle, he forgets his own things, and I love calling him out on him too. Like, you didn't start out on the lead, George. What are you doing? You're going to blow this whole thing up.
I have got some stories for you.
Tell one.
Yeah, so I went to a huntsmith seminar, first one I ever went to, like, being, I guess, on the outside coming in, like, I was like, George, what do I need to do to not make myself look like an idiot? Like, help me out here. Yeah. And it said, like, they need a leather collar. Like, the dog needs a leather collar. I was like, well, I've got, like, the biothane collar. He's like, yeah, I know it says leather collar, but you do whatever works. Like, that's fine. No one will make fun of you. And I show up, and Herb comes out. Actually, yeah, Herb comes out, and he's got that blue biothane collar, or Permatac, whatever you call it. And Doc Martin, who we were doing it at the training or the seminar at his house, he comes in and he says, "What the hell is that dog wearing?" And I look at George. I was like, "George, I thought it was okay." And he's just chuckling back there. And so I was promptly given a leather collar and told to give me $20 or $25 for the collar. And
is it just old school mentality, or what's the reason behind it?
So when you're check cording, that collar, when you're flipping the flipping the check cord over their back, that mm-hmm. collar is able to slide better. It's less tacky on their neck. So fast forward to the prairie of Montana. We get out there. We're sitting at the truck, and here comes Rip.
His new pup.
Yeah, his pup. Year old now, and what does that dog have on there? An orange biothane collar.
No.
I took a picture of it with him in it.
George Lyle, you fraud.
Yeah. And I just lit into him right away.
Oh, good for you.
And I think his excuse was, "Oh, this is the only one with the nameplate on it." I said, your leather collars have a nameplate. He said, "Oh, those say Marshall or whatever, and not where I live now."
Oh my gosh.
I was like, George.
Wow.
So I'll have to show you that picture. That's one of many stories.
All right. Well, a lot of that could be an inside thing because we spend so much time hunting together. But George Lyle has been on several podcasts, just like you've been on several podcasts, Ben. I encourage you, if you've not listened to them, to go back. Mr. Lyle shares unbelievable wisdom with us all the time. We're grateful for his guidance, his wisdom. He's a heck of a dog trainer. Mm-hmm. He learned from some of the best in the dog training world, and we're grateful to have a mentor like that. If you have the opportunity to friend a wise mentor like George is in our lives, the value of having that is just, you can't put a price tag on it.
No way.
So we're grateful for George, and that's why we get to rip on him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ben, best of luck to you the rest of the hunting season. It's off with a bang, obviously. You've got a lot going on. Check out the OnX Hunt app. Depending on where you're hunting, there's something in there that will make you a better bird hunter. You and I do not go hunting without it. We're bird hunters that travel, and that is just as important of tool as a good pair of boots.
Yeah.
And the time you spend training your dog, and good shells and a good gun.
And if you wanna learn more, we were talking about scouting different types of species. Mm-hmm. We've been doing master classes on different species of birds. So if you go on the OnX Hunt YouTube channel, you'll find all those recorded. Or you'll get, if you have OnX, you'll get emails periodically saying, "Hey, we've got a couple coming up scouting and hunting for pheasants, grouse. We'll have a quail one coming up. So
nice. And
I've learned a ton.
If they can't join live when you're doing these, they're going to be there.
They'll post it. I think we did a prairie grouse one with Tyler Webster and Marissa Jensen. That's up on YouTube. There's a number of them. They all go up on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch them.
Cool. Awesome, Ben. Thank you. Again,
appreciate it, Travis.
Best of luck as we go. I can't wait to hunt with you and Amos and the rest of the crew.
Likewise.
All right. We'll be back next week with a live podcast from Bear Cave Brewing in Hopkins, Minnesota. We hope you'll join us. Ben's going to be there.
Yeah, you can come and tell me if how good your
Tell
dogs are. If you want to give flack to my face, I'll be there.
Yes.
I'll happily take it.
All right, there it is. We'll see you there. We'll be back next week with that live podcast.